Hello.
Welcome back. This is episode 4. And whoa, we have had a super interesting week in real estate this week. We kind of walked into a real estate debacle that we want to share with you and warn you about for your future real estate purchases.
Yeah.
And what are we going to cook, Xavier?
Tonight what's cooking is spaghetti squash.
God, you almost hit me in the face with
I did. I thought you wanted to take a bite right away.
So spaghetti squash is a really good bright meal. If you just started watching, we do Bright Line Eating, which is a no sugar, no flour, and portion control meal plan. And spaghetti squash is a yummy summer vegetable. And if you're missing your pasta, it's a super good way to get that crunch, but you have to make it right because we've learned the hard way. We've overcooked it and it's squishy.
And soggy.
But we're not going to do that tonight. We already have the oven preheating. So Xavier's going to cook the ground beef with the marinara sauce, and I'm going to make the salads, and we're going to talk about real estate.
Sounds good.
You ready?
We're here.
All right, let's do
it.
it. All right, so are you doing the spaghetti squash?
Oh, okay.
I guess you should do the spaghetti squash while I do the salads, maybe.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, so we're going to get the spaghetti squash, get it prepped, ready, and then go in the oven.
Here, I'm going to move it over here for you to work on. And I'll move this pan out of the way.
Do I have to take this sticker off?
Yeah, because it could catch on fire in the oven.
That's what I was going to say, and then I thought for some reason you might say, why? And then I would have had to explain that. It sounds silly. So I'm glad I was actually accurate in my thinking that time.
I first had spaghetti squash at my favorite restaurant called J. Alexander's, which we love to go to. It's a beautiful steakhouse. And they had the most amazing spaghetti squash. And so
I think this is going to take me out at some point. The corner of this is calling my name. So.
Do we need to get a baby protector on, like a bumper?
A little rubber bumper.
Like a bumper?
Baby buggy bumper.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk to you about this real estate thing. So earlier last week, I have a cash buyer that came into town. What do you
Chef's
want?
knife. Top right. That is the most awkward way to hand it in, I think.
Okay. We had a cash buyer in town, and they came across a property that they saw online. And I couldn't find the property anywhere, and they were like, look, it's kind of a mess, this property, but we're interested because we really love the neighborhood that it's in. So they told me the address. I start looking it up. I had to search high and low for this property, but I eventually did find it because it's on an MLS way outside of our area, And I reached out to the number on the listing, which said it was a listing agent, but I ended up getting the listing agent's assistant. Interesting enough. That might have been a prelude to what was to come. And I said, hey, I have a buyer who's interested in this property, and can we go and see it? And he basically said, well, tell me about your buyer. And when he learned that my buyer didn't need financing and my buyer was actually going to be cash, he said, oh, this wouldn't be the right property for your buyer because it's seller financing only. And we're really it's really much better for people who can't get qualified for a traditional loan.
What?
Yeah. Which is what I said. But I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, let me figure this out. So I hang up the phone. I start thinking about this. I'm like, well, what kind of seller financing is this, right? Because seller financing, you can't lock in. You can't have early payoff penalties. These are all Dodd-Frank laws. So I call back and I say, okay, what are the seller financing terms? And he says, we have to put $25,000 down. Okay, it's about a $400,000 house. You have to put $25,000 down. The interest rate is about 6.7, which is, pretty similar to today.
This one's a little bit smaller on the inside, just FYI.
No, that's a big spaghetti squash. That's
I'm talking
way. About you meaning it's more spaghetti squash and less seeds? Yeah. So here's the kick, right? It's not a Florida real estate contract. What is that?
It's an ice cream scooper that we're actually going to use to scoop out the spaghetti squash.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a Florida real estate contract, you guys. It's a 50-page contract that was drawn up by their escrow attorney. And I was like, okay, send this over to me. And
Well, for context, what is our typical contract that we use?
our contract is 13 pages long.
Which
And
that
this
seems
contract is
excessive.
50 pages. And it says things like, you're buying an LLC, okay? You're not actually getting a deed for this transaction. You're not actually even getting a loan. You're not even actually getting financing, okay? What you're doing is you're buying into an LLC. You're buying shares in an LLC. And you have no access really to this LLC. And the money that you're paying each month, you don't know where it's going or what it's being used for. And if you miss a payment, it says in the contract, if you miss one payment, you have 30 days to make that payment up. And if you don't, you can be evicted. And that $25,000 deposit you gave, that's bye-bye. And they don't have to go through any landlord laws because it's not a lease agreement. Oh, good job. That's hard to do. It's not a lease agreement. So, as I took to social media about this, an amazing real estate attorney reached out to me and said, send me that contract, I want to see it. Within the day, he got back to me and said, this is no bueno. This is not a real estate contract. This is not, there's no deed involved in this. This is not even a securities contract. It's like kind of sounds like and smells like a securities contract, but it's not.
I don't even know what that means.
It's not a membership. Well, you have to be licensed to sell securities, right? Like securities would be like.
Oh.
Yeah. But it mimics like a securities contract, but it's not. So the fact that they are looking for buyers who cannot qualify for a traditional loan, big red flag number one. Why is that? Okay. They're banking on the fact that you're going to give them $25,000 and within a matter of time, you're going to default on your payments. Okay. And then when you default on your payments, they'll just take the house back and all the money that you've put into that LLC. By the way, you cannot homestead this property. There's no landlord laws protecting you. Because some people are like, oh, it's like a rent to own. Well, not really. A rent to own would be better. Because you would have landlord laws and, you know, you'd have a contract for that. You don't have that on this. So I started to get a little freaked out, as you can imagine, because now I realize.
What have you just stumbled upon?
This is a you know, I don't want to say scam. I'm not saying scam.
A waving red flag?
But I surely am not going to disclose the properties. By the way, there's about 50 of these properties on the MLS. I'm not going to disclose the properties. I'm not going to disclose the hedge fund. But if you did some digging, it's like Lifetime movie worthy kind of stuff, okay? So all I'm doing is just sharing this. Like if you come across a deal like this and you're a buyer, just get an attorney. Get an attorney to look it over. You're not buying real property. You're not protected from what I can see. And it's scary because they told me on the phone that they've already sold 40 properties like this. So the real estate attorney did tell me that Florida is kind of a breeding ground for this kind of stuff, and that none of us should touch it with a 10-foot pole. I mean, you get no benefits of homeownership whatsoever with a deal like this. In fact, you would actually be better off renting a house, in my opinion, because you have more rights as a tenant than you do in this kind of situation, and it's a lot cheaper. You're not putting a $25,000 deposit down as a tenant. Okay, so what happens now, Xavier, with the spaghetti squash?
Put it in the oven?
So we learned that you actually don't have to put anything on this. You don't have to put oil or anything because it cooks in its own
Well, there's many, yeah.
Juices?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of moisture in this thing. but
Moisture. It cooks in its own moisture.
There's different trains of thought. You also notice the direction in which I slice this. So a lot of people will say to slice it long ways, which can give you a bigger like boat to kind of scoop out of, especially if you want to eat from said boat, like out of it.
From said boat.
Well, you could like eat out of it. We've done that before in the past, right? So we scoop out and then we fluff it up with the spaghetti squash, and then we pour our meat mixture into it. However, what we've learned is if you want it to be more like pasta spaghetti like strands, when you do it this way, if you look inside, like the grain inside here, it is circular. So what happens is when we finish cooking it and we go to scoop it out or scrape it out, we do it with a light fork and we do it in a circular motion where you get long strands. When you do it the long way, you don't get the same strand length and quality. So that's what we learned. And then in addition to that, when we first started doing this a year or so ago, it would be sprinkle olive oil or roll olive oil in it or rub olive oil in it, salt, pepper, etc. And then that actually creates more moisture inside, which can help lead to it being soggy. So it's easier to just season it after.
You don't want it soggy. You want it like crunchy, you know, like
al dente.
Al dente, like a pasta. It's really, really good.
So just gonna line the cookie sheet with some.
Do you want to say what kind of sheet we use?
Huh?
What kind of sheets are? What kind of meat? What's this?
The brand is there. You gotta turn it around though. It's Nordic Ware.
Oh, Nordic Ware.
They're really good.
They are very good. We like these very much. You really don't have to put foil on there, but Xavier does put foil on for some reason. I don't know why.
It actually helps with the cooking and also, in my view, makes it easier for cleaning because I don't have to clean it.
All right, so I have now finished my salad. Let me show you. As you can see, it's an 8-ounce salad. It has romaine lettuce, sprouts, snap peas, carrot, shredded carrot, these little tomatoes, which are so super cute that I've been getting them at Sprouts. I don't know, a different color. I don't know that it makes a difference, but it does for me because it feel like it gives me some variety. And these are hearts of palm. That's my little treat, and it helps get me to the 8-ounce salad. So now I'm gonna make Xavier's salad, and his is gonna be a little bit different because I ran out of some of this stuff, and he doesn't like hearts of palm. So here's the deal, just to wrap up that conversation, buyer beware. Because if it sounds like it's too good to be true, it is. And many people are gonna probably get themselves involved in something like this and not know what they're getting themselves into. And actually we had a conversation with someone we know last night who got involved with something like this accidentally. Hers was a little bit different. She thought she was getting a hard money loan, and she had to create an entity and all this stuff. And after 1 year, she was supposed to have to refinance this property, and she could not because she lost her job. And then they gave her 1 more year, and after 2 years of her not being able to refinance it to get a regular loan, they were like, "You're out." So she got no equity out of this house after she had lived in it for 3 years. She had no rights whatsoever, and now she had to end up renting a home. And it's a little bit of a different circumstance, but the same. If you cannot get approved for a mortgage, it's very likely that you should not be getting a mortgage. It's really that simple, right? Why did you readjust me?
Because you were a bit close to here and you were further up this way, so you kept blocking me. Just saying. So,
all right, so the spaghetti squash is in the oven.
Yeah, I'm about to put the meat in. If you remember from a previous video, I showed a hack I found on the internet where I take the meat out of the packaging it came from the grocery store, and I flatten it out in a Ziploc because then it's much easier to cook and cook more evenly versus a big old clump that's frozen or refrigerated.
Okay. Florida real estate apparently is a breeding ground for scams and targeting people who, are most likely to default on loans like that. So if you were someone that wanted to really dig into that situation, you would probably be horrified what you would find that is going on there.
The sauce is going in a separate saucepan, because we weigh the food. So because the meat gets weighed, if we add the sauce together, you're basically weighing.
I'm getting gypped on my protein.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. However, I'm not interested in being sued by a hedge fund. So, I did take to TikTok, and TikTok people were definitely interested. Hundreds of thousands of views and messages and things like that. So, I'm just thinking that what we can do is just educate people. And then, if you're somebody who you know of someone buying a house in Florida,
Hey, what do you want?
They need to make sure that they're actually buying real property. And that's the question to ask. Am I buying real property? Am I buying real property?
I'm going to do the kicking garlic salt
Okay.
that we got from Fisherman's Village.
Okay. If you don't get an answer, run.
Run!
Because if you think you're buying real property and you're actually just buying shares in an LLC,
It's a trap.
it's not going to be good for you. So, again, not disclosing the properties, not disclosing the hedge funds that are doing this. We are just trying to make people aware that things like this are happening out there, and they are targeting people who probably would never be able to hire an attorney or afford their own representation. As a real estate agent, I would never represent a client in this deal because guess what? I don't have a securities license, even though it's not securities. But it's closer to securities than it is in real estate. And so I know I could never properly represent a client in a situation like this. So, and I actually, remember, Xavier, how many people reached out to me saying, "Oh, I'm interested. I would like to know."
Yeah. A lot.
And it's literally, this is the type of person that's like, "Oh, I can own a home,"
And then
it's like, no, actually.
No, you can't.
So, good news though, Xavier. We did get one of our buyers under contract.
We did, yay.
Yes, and I will tell you, this house that we got under contract, I'm sorry, Xavier, I put everything but the bagel seasoning on your salad.
It's not a bagel, though.
Anyway, this house was listed for $459,000 in a very desirable neighborhood.
Coming in hot.
Been completely renovated on the inside, but needs some TLC on the outside. It was on the market for 70 days, and our buyer is under contract for $405. So from $459 to $405. That is what they got it under contract for.
Where do you want the spaghetti squash?
They are so excited.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are so excited.
Great job.
And they're going to turn it into a vacation rental for now, but they plan to retire there and live there. So I'm really excited for them. Honestly, when they put in the offer, for $400,000, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then the seller counter offered at $425, and then the buyer said, no, the most we're willing to go is $405, and you got to replace the hot water heater and some other things. And we negotiated that up front, and we're having their home inspection this weekend. So these are people that were not planning to have their retirement home for another 4 years, but when they found out that they could do it as a vacation rental now and probably save, have equity 4 years from now when they retire, they were so excited. They were in tears about it. I'm really, really excited for them. That's the part about real estate that I absolutely love is when, we can get wins like that for our clients.
Most definitely.
And guess where that buyer came to us from?
TikTok?
TikTok, you don't stop. Okay,
No,
want to
don't do
see,
that
wrong way.
What are you doing? One of these weeks she's going to learn.
Showing the spaghetti squash.
That's what this is for.
Yeah, look at yes.
The downside is like so hot.
It's hot. Yeah, it's hot.
But you can do this in the shell I don't do it in the shell because I need to weigh it as part of my portion control line.
Oh, eat it in the shell, you mean? Or?
Yeah, like you can just fluff this up in the shell. This is gonna be phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
It's still cooking, so even though it like the noodles don't, maybe they look a little stiffer, it's because it's still cooking right now. So, and it'll continue to cook a little bit because this is 400 degrees for 27 minutes. So the amount for veggies for dinner is 6 ounces. So let's see how much of this I get.
Plus the 8-ounce salad, right? So it's the distinction between
Yeah.
salad and then veggies.
I could have a smaller salad and more
add it
of
to
this,
veggies.
but so that's 3.9. So I need another 2.1. Oh, 4.9. So I need another 1.1. Oh, I'm almost there. Oh, that's 6.4, so we're gonna take some out. Yes, this is really how it goes. It must be exact. There we go. Nailed it. 6.0.
Good job, baby.
And now we can put in my ground beef, which can be 4 ounces. Oops. Very hot. Now I can have 2 ounces. Let's put in 2 ounces of the marinara sauce. This is a sugar-free marinara sauce from Bertolli, right?
Sure.
Don't cover the scale. Do it from this side to this side.
I'm lefty.
Like a normal person would do. Here, let me
Nope,
do.
I don't want to get it on the rim of my X-Clad. Thank you.
That's gonna be hard to take off if you
What?
you did too much.
Oh, 2.
It's okay.
Watch this. Pro status here.
It's okay. I can have more of it.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
So that wraps up episode 4 of What's Cooking for Dinner. So you want to do a quick...
It's not called What's Cooking for Dinner.
Oh, What's Cooking in Real Estate.
That's right.
Do you want to wrap it up?
I just did.
Oh.
What's Cooking in Real Estate, episode 4, spaghetti squash and buyer beware.
Good job.
Give me a kiss. Mwah. Bye. Yeah, yeah.
And I will tell you, this house that we got under contract,
The reveal. Oh.